California town are the Yams, contestants for the state title of Young American Miss. Among these peppy high school seniors who will win the title, the focus is on two girls, innocent Anne-Marie Bobby.
Mom, you were right. I should never have come. I'm completely confused. I feel totally dumb.
And KG veteran Jody Benson, who dreams of being honored at Disneyland.
Disneyland, gotta get to Disneyland on a western breeze.
There is silly preliminary competition. One girl's talent is making guacamole, and a cynical choreographer tries to whip them into shape. Meanwhile, the show also covers the relationship of the ambitious pageant coordinator and her husband, who is the contest's chief judge and president of the local Junior Chamber of Commerce. Now, Smile is based on the film of the same name with Bruce Stern and Barbara Feldon, which satirized sharply the pageant's alleged wholesome values. But here, the cutting wit is toned down. So, what do we have left? Well, the girls are cute and energetic, and the staging is slick and bright. What else is there? I'm afraid not much. There is not a song you will leave the theater humming, and the story is shallow. In a chorus line, by the time the audition ended, we learned all about the dancers, and we laughed and cried over who was chosen. In Smile, the characters are empty, and we learn almost nothing about them. So by the time a winner is chosen, we really don't care much who it is. And after a while, even the bright ensemble numbers pale because they amount to padding and become repetitious. So there is talent, energy, and Broadway savvy here, but what is missing is heart and soul. We are never moved, and it's an empty smile. And I'm beginning to wonder if I'm ever again going to see a Broadway musical where someone like Ethel Merman steps out front and sings "I Got Rhythm."
Oh my
Wow.
God. What was that review? I got so upset. I hit my table and my iPad with all of my notes just fell to the ground. I am lucky that it did not break. Hi, Kristina.
Hi. I know. Isn't that brutal? It's so brutal. And I do not believe deserve that kind of review at all.
No, and he's talking about just how the songs are padding. I'm like, what I saw them play was nothing like he was describing. But
Yeah. Wow. Okay, everybody. Welcome to After the Bells. We're so happy you came. I'm Kristina.
and I'm Bobby, and we are the hosts of My Favorite Flop.
Yes, and that's right. And tonight, we're going to continue the conversation on our last episode, Smile. We're super excited. You can find our podcast and listen to it anywhere you get podcasts.
And after you listen to it, you can totally go to Apple Podcast and click the subscribe button and leave us a 5-star review. Helps more awesome people like you find us.
And then come and find us on all our social medias at My Favorite Flop. Oh, look, it's down there. That's our website. We love hearing from you. It truly brings joy to my day every time someone comments or leaves us a message. We love it. We also love that we've been inspiring people to rebuild their books. It's a good time, folks.
And sing
Good time.
songs from
And
flops
sing.
and their stories. Okay, well, let's get right to it. Today, like Kristina said, we are continuing the conversation because After the Bows isn't just interviews. It's also fun conversations like tonight, all about the fabulous flop Smile. And today we have, I think, all of our guests have been absolutely special, but this is probably one of the most
really great.
Most special guests we've had to join us to help dig a little deeper.
Yes. Today we are so excited to welcome another podcast friend.
We have 2 now.
No, we've got 3. There are 2 musicals with cheese. So we get 3 friends. 1, 2, 3. 3 friends.
3. Okay. So give a round of applause for the host of hit Broadway podcast network show, Little Me, Marc Tumminelli.
Hey everyone. Hello, all of you in the dark. How's it going?
Oh, it's good. How are you?
Good. I'm so happy to be here to talk about Smile or anything else that anyone wants to ask us.
If you're watching, you can put a little comment.
Please comment.
I can't see anyone's comments, so that you'll have to tell me what they say.
We will tell you what they say. Yes. Oh man, welcome, Marc. We're so excited you found us and that you happen to know our executive producer, Stephen Weston, from back in the day when
yes,
you were
Stephen
doing
and I starred in the off Broadway hit, The Snow Queen. Before Frozen, there was The Snow Queen, and Stephen and I were in it together.
It was spectacular. I have no doubts.
That's so exciting. Well, so for those of you viewers who don't know Marc yet, he is the host of Little Me, Growing Up Broadway. And it's a podcast all about, oh my gosh, that's so good. We need mugs, Kristina.
We need merch.
You do need mugs because they're like only cost $4 to make. So you just give them to anyone and it has weight. Comes in a box. It's great.
Can we make stemless wine glasses with her logo?
I mean, I'm sure you can. I don't know for $4, but
maybe $6.
They're on sale for $20 now. If you want one.
$20. Get it. Okay.
Plug.
And your podcast, you interview people who've literally grown up on Broadway, and you've had some people who started very young, but you've also had some people who started as teenagers. You just did an episode with Carrie's my favorite musical. So Lindsay Haitley, who was under 18 when she started in that show, which is
wild.
So
17. Can you imagine coming to New York at 17, having never been here to have the last bow in a Broadway musical like that? Blows my mind. Talking to Lindsay was really, really fun for me.
Oh, it was such a great episode too.
We have our first question, friends.
Oh.
Maybe we should ask it real quick before we move on. What was the show Snow Queen and who wrote it, Marc?
The show Snow Queen was by Bill Solly and directed by Igor Golden. And it was a Hans Christian Andersen musical retelling of, that famous story. It's Elsa, the Snow Queen, the whole situation. And your executive producer played the young boy role. And I was like a prince. I don't know what I really was, but we did it for like a long time. It was Saturday and Sunday morning at the Triad Theater. And it was a banging show. There was a song called Without Shoes that my friend Holly will still call me and just sing. This is 20 years ago.
That's so good.
And then, wait, I have another one. I produced it and directed it at St. Michael's College, like maybe 5 years after that. I was like, this is a cute show. We should do it here.
Lies. I love it. I love it so much. Okay, on with the show. Bobby, why don't you...
Hold on.
No,
is that my turn?
No, it's not. It's my turn. Okay, so we're going to try. We wanted to break the ice. We've kind of done it now, but we're going to do this anyways. Okay. So at the end of your shows on Little Me, you do a quick fire session with your guests.
Quick fire questions.
Quick fire questions. So we are going to turn the tables on you and ask you some fun questions. All right. I hope you're prepared.
Are you ready for some crazy?
Absolutely ready.
Okay. What are you obsessed with right now?
Okay. I'm obsessed with something every week that's different. So I'm going to give you a couple. I have Ted Lasso on Apple TV. You guys watch it?
Yeah.
All right. Get into Ted Lasso if you haven't. Behind Her Eyes on Netflix. Wasn't like, the more I think about it, the less good it was, but I dug it. And then the Out for Blood podcast on the Broadway Podcast Network.
Oh my God.
Which is the Carrie podcast. And those guys have done a killer job on that. And it's so well produced. And I'm just so thrilled that people are loving it. So those are my 3 current obsessions.
Those are some
awesome.
Good ones.
Great.
All right. What do you want on your bagel?
In the morning, I would want an egg on it. And in the afternoon, I want chicken salad on it.
Oh.
Okay.
That's a fancy answer.
That's very fancy.
Well, I don't eat dairy anymore, so otherwise it would have been cream cheese.
All right. Otherwise, it would be cream cheese. Okay. Fill in the blank. Patti LuPone should star in the revival of blank by Frank Wildhorn.
Jekyll and Hyde as Jekyll and Hyde.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
Okay, what was your first audition song?
It was My Best Girl from Mame or Consider Yourself from Oliver, because you needed two. You have to
Right,
wow
of
them
course.
with your up tempo and then hit them hard with your ballad.
Good. What has been your weirdest stage door interaction?
I mean, honestly, like for me, I'm not famous, so like I don't have any like no one cares about me. But I do have a good one though. So when I saw Fun Home on Broadway, I saw Fun Home a lot. I'm like very obsessed with Fun Home. I was walking out, I was seeing my kids in the show. And so I left the theater kind of late and I left in that area that the cast comes out. And this woman grabbed me and stopped me and said, I thought you were amazing. But like, who did she think I was? So I am sure she thought I was Middle Allison.
I
which,
hope so.
like, honestly, I'm fine with.
It's so good.
True
Okay.
story. And like, I was with a student of mine who was like, what the? And I was like, I have no idea. We'll go with that. And also once I gave Linda Eder a Beanie Baby at the stage door of Jekyll and Hyde, and I'm very embarrassed about that.
You should be
I
very
love
proud of that.
You should be. Beanie Baby. Okay, so this next one is
It
because
was
I
the
know
90s.
nothing.
It was 97. Give me like a little break.
Oh, no, that's a perfect time to give someone a Beanie Baby,
Especially Linda Eder.
especially Linda Eder. Okay.
Weird, she never called me to thank me. Go ahead.
Now she knows because she's watching this.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay, so I know nothing about Housewives, so I've decided to ask you who your favorite Rue girl is.
Well, this season, Simone, right?
Simone, so good.
Simone is so good. And Gottmik is kind of amazing. I'm so impressed with her. Like, just what that artistry is like blows my mind. Simone is amazing. She's amazing. They're amazing.
I love that. Okay.
Oh, first Broadway show you ever saw. That was me.
A Misbehavin' at the Ambassador Theater, and I hated it so much.
Oh, no.
Poor
It was
kid.
just like 7, and I was like, what is this?
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
But
Okay.
now I'm sure I would have loved it.
I loved it.
Isn't that funny how you revisit things and you're like, oh, I get it.
Well, I don't think I was not ready. My second Broadway show was Jerome Robbins Broadway, and that was like a game changer. I was like, I never want to leave here.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so what's your favorite movie musical?
Little Shop is the perfect movie musical, isn't it? Do you guys have a one that you think is better?
No.
No.
I mean, I used to watch Newsies obsessively, but I don't know if it's actually a good movie. So
I mean, I think it probably is.
Yeah.
I only saw it like once in a movie theater, but I've
Sure.
never seen it again. And there's also an amazing, it's not a musical movie, but Girls Just Want to Have Fun is the greatest 80s dance movie
I mean,
with Sarah
Yes.
Jessica Parker and Helen
Yes.
Hunt. It's give it
Agreed.
a watch.
it's a good
I
one.
love that movie. I used to watch it all the time when it would come on reruns on Disney Channel, like late at night when you're not supposed to be watching TV. Sorry, Mom. Yes.
Okay, last but not least, what is your favorite flop?
Well, it's the musical Smile.
How convenient, because
And it carries right under it, but
I mean, obviously.
yeah.
But that's what we're discussing tonight. So let's get to this topic. You run the Broadway Workshop, which is a training program for young talent, but you also adapt shows for young performers, right?
Yeah.
Professionally. That's kind of cool.
It's like a really cool, fun thing. Keep going, and then I'll talk.
No. And you had been once working on an adaptation of Smile.
Yeah, and I realized it's all in here, so we can talk about it whenever.
We have props.
We have props. I also found like my typed out version today in preparation for this event.
Okay, well, so
that.
tell us what brought you to Smile. That's how we're going to start this conversation.
So when I was in I want to say 10th grade, a really good girlfriend of mine, Randy Berman Melnick Cohen, that's her name now. She was just Randy Melnick then. She did Smile as her 9th grade musical. And I met her when I was in 10th grade. And she was like, my school does the worst shows. Like we were in a show that only ran on Broadway for 48 performances called Smile. I was like, what's it called? And so this was, I'm going to say like 95. And she's like, yeah, it's a musical Smile. And I was at her house and she played me the cassette of that demo, that hour-long demo that they had for licensing. And I was like, give me this immediately. And I went home and recorded, a tape to a tape, and like try to find out everything I could. This was before we had an internet. And so it was very hard to find out things about Smile. And I just assumed this recording should be available in a bigger way, because her recording had like a skip in it. And it also had like a section that was missing, like maybe a minute that was missing. And so that's how it started with my obsession with Smile and trying to find out everything I could about it. I watched her terrible high school video of it, because this show is hard. It's not user friendly. So we'll talk about that when you're ready to talk about it. So that was how it all started with Smile. And I became very upset with this cassette, and that I, recorded for other people. And I just thought the music was really, really good. And I didn't know about the book. I didn't know what pieces, I didn't know how things intersected, but I knew the music was amazing. And that's really the cornerstone of a good musical, isn't it?
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, yes.
Yes.
Well, so have you ever, aside from trying to adapt it for Sam French when you were working on it, have you ever done Smile? Like, did you direct it ever? Or?
No, I've never directed it. I've seen it 2 times now, maybe 3 times. I saw they did a really big industry reading, I want to say like 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then Musicals Tonight did it maybe 5 years ago. So I saw both of those. I'm trying to think if I saw another. So that was the first time I'd seen it. Obviously, I had read it. I got my hands on the Broadway script. And so I kind of could see what the differences were between the published version and the original script. And then obviously it's in the book, Not Since Carrie. And so I was able to get a little bit more information from that 2 pages. So it's just like from talking to people and getting a sense. Just a little over a year ago, I was in Palm Springs on vacation for someone's birthday, and I was sitting across the table from this woman named Lauren, and she was like, I was in a bunch of Broadway shows like Smile and Beauty and the Beast. I was like, we're okay. And we sort of dug out Smile with her, and Donna Marie Asbury, who is an original cast member, was on my podcast not long ago, which is a great episode if you haven't listened to. And we unpacked a little bit of Smile, and she sent me some videos today because she saw me post about this. And
I love it.
A goddess, and we love Donna Marie. She's in the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest running Broadway performer. She was in Chicago for 21 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Crazy.
So I've, throughout the years have gained quite a bit of information about this musical.
Right. So from that, who came to you about adapting it?
So I went to Sam French. I had done, I don't know, I can't remember order of operations, but I had done Zombie Prom for Sam French, and with the writers of Zombie Prom to create what I wanted to create, which was a 1-hour kind of middle to high school version of that show. Cause I also grew up kind of obsessed with Zombie Prom, not grew up, but I found it in high school and was like, this show is great. And so I went to Sam French with that. And they let me do it, and it was really successful for them, and they were really happy with it. And so then I said, the next thing I really want to do is Smile. And Brad Lawrence, who was working at Sam French at the time, was like, let me bring it to the Ashman estate and to Marvin Hamlish, who was alive at that time. And I got to know very quickly that they did not want that. And so we just sort of sat on it, and they were like, maybe we can represent it in a little bit, little while. And then Marvin died. And I was like, well, this will never happen then. Because my goal was like, I wanted to sit down with him or have a conversation with him where I could explain, like, this is what I want to do with it. And this is how I think it can work. And that conversation never happened. And then once he died, I thought I would never get to touch it. Then like 2 years later, I got a phone call from Sam French saying, like, the Hamlish people are saying, have at it. See what you can do to create like an official high school version. And I started to work on it. And then my person at Sam French did not work there anymore. About 6 months later, he was gone. And so I was like, this is dead. And so that's sort of where Smile ended. And, now Sam French is owned by another company, which is Concord. So now might be based on, the last 2 days of me kind of like re-looking at Smile. I don't know, maybe now's the time.
My favorite flop will be the inspiration for you to get back into it.
It's, like I did it. I did the work. So like, I would love to see it happen. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's the short story. Or maybe it's long. I don't know. How long have I been talking?
I'm
Who
like
knows?
2
a great
seconds.
story.
Like, what are you talking about?
That's really interesting, though, that I love that you never let it go. And I think that you should continue with it. I think that you should bring it to them and sit, because it's a perfect show for high schools. And so many high schools try and do it anyways. So you might as well adapt it properly.
And I do think if there was like a real reference recording, and I think that it was packaged like the look of a winter edition or whatever we want to call it, and this high school sort of and it's marketed to high school groups and theater academies like Broadway Workshop and the 1,000 other theater academies that are just like Broadway Workshop, they would grab it in a second, because we have these female roles that are dynamic and well written and funny, and the score is tuneful. Like, there's so many things about it that work, that the things that don't work are so minor in comparison, that to think of the shows that these schools are doing all the time that are like not good, because they were on Broadway, because they have a real cast album. And that's really all it takes. I mean, think about these kids that are obsessed with Heathers. This is a perfect example, but maybe not, because Heathers is like so dirty, but they're obsessed with Heathers. Ask a kid obsessed with Heathers who saw Heathers. The answer is like none of them. None of them saw it. So it's because there is this banging cast album.
Absolutely.
And these girls singing their faces off. like if that was available, these kids would want to do this show.
Well,
so
like, would your goal be to record a reference album?
Yeah, I think it would be to figure out how the show is really going to work and then record a, just a higher end. I mean, that demo was made in a day, with the Casio, and it's great. And it's amazing that it exists. And I've listened to it probably more than any other human on earth. But, and it's so funny. Like when I got my hands on the Broadway script, I also got my hands on the demo without that minute missing and without that skip. And I was like, oh, that's how that's supposed to sound. It was like such a moment. Like I'll never forget hearing it. So yeah, I do think that there is, I'd love to have a real record of what the licensable high school version is, because I don't think the 2-act, or I don't think the full show needs to necessarily be done. And now we are, I know we have other questions about time period and things like that. And if we can jump the gun, is that the show has to take place in the time it was written.
Right.
Because Howard Ashman's brilliance is his lyrics. And to lose them, because they're all topical, I wonder what my chances are. I wish I looked like Terry Garr, is like why this show is so amazing. And you have to have these girls come in their like neon and big hair. And I think, and also pageants are not a thing. And I remember, and I'm sure you guys remember, I don't know what your ages are, but like I watched beauty pageants on TV. It was like appointment television.
Oh yeah.
And that's not even, I don't even know if Miss America, like I don't know a thing about Miss America. And that was such a big part of our taboo culture, and a part of, Sunday night was like, oh my God, live from Atlantic City. Like it was a really big deal. And so I think the show has to be a time capsule of that time, personally.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Next.
I know. I feel like I'm talking about this thing for the first time in my life where anyone cares to listen.
My God. Well, we care so much, but
like,
I think you're right. I think you're right. Like if there was a better recording, if people knew about it, look at Carrie, the Carrie revival, love it or hate it, at least introduce it to a whole group of people. It's one of the most popular titles that Rodgers and Hammerstein gets out to high school stuff. So.
And how many of those kids who are obsessed with Carrie saw it at MCC? None of them.
None of them. No.
So yeah, I think that the possibilities are endless with the property. It's just a matter of, a lot of estates, and now no one who worked on it is alive. And that is a really hard thing. It's a harder road to hoe. And there's a lot of other elements at stake. But I think it's something that could happen, and I'm sure someone will get to do it. I hope it's me, but I don't know.
When you're adapting and specific to Smile, how do you pick and choose what stays and what goes?
Well, a couple of things happen. It's like my instinct, I think, is pretty good. So I'll be like, this song sucks. Like, it's just, or like, this is born. Like, when do you want to skip the record? Or like, when is a scene, feel like it's for a different purpose than what the high school version is? And for some of the titles I've worked on, or even what, the junior, for lack of a better word, we call it Young at Part at TRW. We call it JV edition at Broadway Licensing. Sam French, well, with Zombie Prom, it's Atomic edition, but it was Zombie Junior Prom was our first plan at it, and they went to their junior prom, but we cut that. But, like whatever we're calling it, it's like, what is unnecessary for this plot, the main storyline? What don't we need? What is not a song that the kids are going to be excited about, and that feels weird for a kid to be singing? So like in Smile, Big Bob's song, which is not in the Broadway production, that is only in the licensed version, would be death to watch. Even an amazing, even a brilliant, the most brilliant 17-year-old, star boy is going to die with that material. It is not going to work for them. So that goes. In Addams Family, the songs that were about father to daughter, I was like, this is lame on a high school boy and a high school girl. This is not going to work. And there was some, like, we fought about that a little bit because, the creators loved that material. It was the heart of the show for them, but it's not the heart of the show for the high school. So that's the thing that I look at it and I say, what is the story? What makes you excited and watching teenagers do it, and what streamlines us to the finish line? If you have 90 minutes or 60 minutes or 7, whatever, what gets you to the thing? And then it's all these offshoots that don't get you there. So as I read, I'm like, this is unnecessary. We can get to this. If I just write these 2 lines, I can cover what these 2 pages say. So that is often what I'm doing. And because I'm not the creator, I'm not in love with anything in a way that Howard would have been with Baby. But this scene is so important. It's not that important to me. So I can look at it here, helicopter it, and go, this is so good. And this is not so good. So that is kind of, it's just and sometimes I look at it, we do a workshop of it, a Broadway workshop, and I'm like, oh, I missed that song. And it goes back in, that's why it's so cool that I can also not only be the editor, but then I'm the director of the workshop. So then I'm sitting in the room and go, oh, I shouldn't have cut that, put that back in. Or, oh God, why did I keep this? And that all is happening kind of live. And often the last show that I got to workshop was Head Over Heels. And I actually really found that show quite charming on Broadway. There's a lot of good about it. And those kids every time, but especially those kids, were very influential. Is that the right word? To me, about what made sense to them, because that language is different. It's this classic, sort of Shakespearean-like speech. And they're like, what does this mean? And I was like, yeah, what does this mean? And I was like, well, if no one knows what it means, it's got to go. Or we have to find another way of saying it that could be a joke. And so there are things like that the kids really get a piece in creating. And that has always been really fun for me. Where I'm like, that joke, guys, is in the script now. That joke that you wrote because you're an idiot and you were doing something really dumb on stage is like in the play. Like,
oh, what a joy.
That's so cool for me. Yeah.
That's really fun. I mean, we've all done numerous workshops of new shows, and it's always exciting when the stupid mess up makes it into the script. And I love that kids get that choice. Oh, that's so cool. So do you think that Smile is something that could eventually have an actual revival, like a Broadway revival?
No, sadly. I just
they're all dead, right?
Wait, we'll say that one more time.
They're all dead, so it's not like
they're all dead. But also, I don't think it's. I think what it could be is this amazing high school property, and I don't think it's an amazing Broadway show. The person that you root for doesn't win the pageant.
Right.
Real problem.
Who do you root for, though?
I root for Doria because she has the I Want song. So if Robin won, the show can still be successful, but neither of them win. So you go on these two girls' journey and one really doesn't win and one comes in second or whatever. And so you don't get this satisfied ending. And musically, you don't have a satisfying ending either. So there are problems that are not fixable in at $175 a ticket way.
Right.
But you have some problems that are fixable in I bought a $10 ticket for this really tight, what I think it should be one act. I always think everything should be one act, but that might just be my own thing. Like, why am I still here? See, We Will Rock
Leave them wanting more. Leave them wanting more.
We can't do We Will Rock You in 90 minutes. Like,
you should do We Will Rock You.
That takes place in 100 years from now on the iPlanet. You can do that in 90 minutes. So We Will Rock You is now available for 90 minutes, courtesy of me. And it's really good. It's really fun. Anyway, but yeah, so I don't think it's a Broadway show in that way. I also think the stakes, I have a bunch of really good friends who are involved in Mean Girls. And when I saw them in the out of town, whatever in DC, I was like, guys, the stakes have never been lower. You're playing juniors in high school. So it's like, you know what I mean? That is really the thing. It's like the stakes are like, who cares? Like that is really the problem. It doesn't have real weight. Like if they win or don't win, it's not going to really change their life. And now that beauty pageants are so not a thing,
right?
It makes it harder and harder to become a mainstream revival, unless someone does something really cool with it. I was just saying to my husband that like, we were talking about Carrie and I was like, God, I sometimes think I'm not that smart. Like I would have never thought to do Carrie as an experience with audience participation.
Right.
So maybe there's someone who has a better idea than I have. I kind of see things straight and I'm like, this is what doesn't work and this is what does work. And this is how I can make it work. So I don't think of like, what if we were all in a like burnt down, theater and the ghosts of the beauty pageants in the past. Like my brain doesn't work that way. And often I laugh when I see things like that.
Well, okay, so you've adapted a lot of crazy stuff. So, I mean, if we're deciding that Smile maybe won't work as a big Broadway show, you've worked on some really popular ones, like things like Spamalot, Addams Family, Zombie Prom, which wasn't a huge hit in New York, but I think before you got it, I discovered it in high school as well, and it was in the back of the Grease libretto. And our school, Grease was too risque for us. It was like, do Zombie Prom, and so I ended up directing Zombie Prom at my high school, and I know it was popular even before you did your thing. I don't know where I was going to go with that. With these popular shows that have so many iconic moments, have you found it hard to cut a lot of the material? Or
well, Spamalot, for example, was the easiest thing I've ever worked on because they're all vignettes. So you can cut one and it doesn't affect what's going to happen in the next scene.
Right.
Whereas something like Curtains, which was fairly successful on Broadway, never really had a huge regional life, which I mean, moderate. That show is very hard because it's a murder mystery. So if I cut one character out, which I did, then all of the things, it's like if you did Clue and, Colonel Mustard is no longer in it, how does that affect? So the Curtains was really hard. I just did Wind in the Willows, which we did a lot of work on, which was very hard. It was a huge flop in the West End, but the score is gorgeous. And that's the thing. I'm like, if the score is great, I can fix the book enough to make it work for this purpose. Right. And Wind in the Willows, I don't know that story. I'm not it's a very British kid story. And so like, I didn't even know what was important to keep. Like, oh, if you cut that, that's the story all the kids learn in kindergarten. Like, I didn't know that. So I was asking British friends, like, tell me the story of Wind in the Willows from your perspective, or tell me the story of Mr. Toad that you know. And so that's sort of how we got into that. And then the writers did another pass at that based on my pass. And we came up with something really good. And that is now available for mostly middle schoolers. We'll do that. We Will Rock You was really fun. They said no to me a couple of times when I said I wanted to do that. And then they let me just do it. And they were really happy with it. Sometimes it's like you have to get the writers on board. But it's best to not have them involved, because if they can just see the video or come to the production, then they'll see that it's working. But when they see that I have cut out pages and ripped out pages of their script, it's like a tough blow. They're like, who's this kid? And why does he think he can cut these 4 songs or move this song here? And I'm like, just wait, I'll know if it doesn't work. And I'll be like, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. But I would say like some titles are harder than others, and some, you know, cut themselves really easily. It's like, you know, with Zombie Prom, it's so funny. Like, it was so many years ago that literally I was cutting out of a script and like I didn't have a word version of the script to base off of. And so I had an assistant at the time who was typing what I was saying, and I would cut out. It was like,
my goodness,
really wild. But I worked with the writers on that show, and they are Dana Rowe and John Dempsey, and they are the loveliest, smartest guys. I would go up to Harlem and we would sit and talk about what I was thinking, and we'd have really good meetings, and they were very involved, and they came to rehearsals, and, you know, that was that experience. And then we've had other experience where I've done it, I've never heard anything. And that's sometimes for the best.
That's exciting though. So back to Smile, what are your favorite moments, and are any of the moments that you would cut for purposes of the high school production?
Yeah, my favorite stuff is anything with the girls. Until Tomorrow Night, I think, is like so good. What's confusing about that show is preliminary night and then the next night. It's hard as an audience member to know what that is. And so I'd come up with a device to be very clear about where we are in the story, like always, because it's a little bit of a movie script. And so like Legally Blonde, which I did not adapt, but Legally Blonde, they hand you a movie, that musical is a movie script. And so that is really, really difficult to stage, where I thought we always need to know where we are and what night it is. And so my thought was we'd have that displayed in some way, whether if you had the use of projection somewhere so the audience can say finals, the audience can say no man's land to know that they're in the bathrooms, like, because a lot of these schools are not going to be able to do a full bathroom and shower set.
Right. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yes. And then we have a gym, and then we have this, I cut the catwalk, which is a whole big section of the show that they remove and put back. And it's like, oh my God, a high school in Milwaukee that, you know, has to produce the show with $1,000 is not gonna be able to build a runway. So I cut that and changed the way that was approached. And so there were things like that I have figured out will work. The other big issue with Smile is that this big ultimate moment is that we see Maria naked in the shower, which you cannot do at a high school. So it just has to be the most horrible. She could be in a towel. She can have a towel on her head. She can have a face mask on, like a guacamole face mask, like that. But that still will ruin the pageant. It's like all these beautiful pictures and her like washing with the face mask on and a towel on her head. That's enough to. And also, like, through the lens of now that they're singling out the Mexican student to make fun of, will have weight now, even looking through an 80s lens. So there were things like that. Big Bob song's got to go. I made Carol's role, who's the pageant assistant, really big. So anytime there were male scenes with Bob and random male characters became Carol to streamline that. So Carol had a bigger, because, you know, Carol's going to be the girl who didn't get Brenda. And so, or like the funny girl who doesn't quite fit in the pageant slot. So, I wanted to create a really fun comedy role for a girl who wasn't going to get to be a pageant girl. And so I built up Carol. So things like that. I mean, she doesn't get to sing, and we cut Bob's song. No one else has looked at this but me, but there's lots of, I'm just looking at my edits, but like Little Bob and Big Bob, like that all is gone. Because it's again, dad and son, we're never going to get that. It's not going to work. Right. It's got to go.
I'm curious.
Focus on the girls.
You really know this material. I'm curious if you were able to ever watch the Source movie.
Yeah, I have it on when I was listening to your podcast yesterday. They were like, we can't get our hands on this movie. I was like, you guys should have called me. I would have like
Oh,
overnighted
no.
it to you.
Oh man.
I bought it on DVD like for like 99 cents. Maybe when
Really?
yeah, maybe apparently it's worth some coin now. But yeah, I've watched the movie. It's not I wanted it to be Drop Dead Gorgeous, and it's not.
Right.
It's not funny. It's very, some moments are. It makes the girls look like idiots, which I don't love. It makes the men involved very like boob grabby and butt pinchy, which makes me want to puke. So the movie, this is such a departure from the movie. You know, it's some of that, Dale Wilson Shears and all of that of like picking the most, you know, the right girl and all of that is there. And I think the germ of the idea of the movie, it exists in Howard's Broadway script and a little less in his licensed script. And in my script, it probably wouldn't exist at all. So the movie is like, to me, inconsequential. And I don't think that the musical should be campier because that would make us care even less. Right. And maybe Drop Dead Gorgeous, as you said on the podcast, it's like, maybe we just want the Drop Dead Gorgeous musical, which is probably maybe what we want. But if you've watched that recently, that didn't age very well either. So
no.
Oh no, it didn't. I haven't watched it in a minute.
No, give it a watch. I screened it for my 39th birthday years ago. And I had like 40 friends in a movie theater and we watched Drop Dead Gorgeous. And I was like, oh God, there were so many things that I was like, I was like, I'm so sorry. I kept looking behind me. I'm so sorry.
But I mean, Denise Richards singing "You're Just Too Good to Be True" too. I mean,
Don't Cry Out Loud in the wheelchair. I mean, it's all those things are great, but like the way Asian Americans are stereotyped and people with who are mentally challenged. It just, that movie's not. I don't know if that makes me musical either.
The 90s.
There is a great line in Smile. It's not great. It was funny to me then, but Doria is trying so hard because she doesn't know what the judges are asking her about environmental law. And so she says, well, I want to, she says something and work with the retarded. She's like, be a model and work with the retarded.
I read that.
Reminds me of that Barbra Streisand video about the mentally retarded, which if you've not seen,
I've not seen that. I will have to go.
Okay, everybody, if anyone's still here, first of all, I'm sorry. And second, Barbra Streisand did like this PSA about the mentally retarded. I want to say in like 1979, 1980. And it's really unbelievable.
Bobby, I'm going to need you to send that to me so I can give that a watch.
Find it. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so what show are you like dying to get your hands on next? What show are you like, this is the next one? This is it.
I mean, it depends. Like, I would love to do Amelie on a set of high school kids.
Also a flop, everybody.
Also a flop. And but what they did to that show in the West End is like miraculous. I was like, oh, is this the greatest thing I've ever seen? Wow. They figured out how to fix that. So that team, that UK team figured that show out. But SpongeBob is going to be the show that I would love to get my hot little hands on to turn into what will be the one act middle school version of that show. That's
our
like
friend
a show
was in that show.
Wait, who was in it?
Our friend Kyle Hamilton was one of the skateboarders in the Broadway cast.
The skateboard dance captain, Kristina.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Kyle. I didn't mean to misrepresent your title.
But like, there's 2 acts of that, I think.
It was like, a long show.
I was like, is there an intermission here? So yeah, like I'd love to figure out what the 90-minute maybe version is, the one act version of that show is, because there's a lot of good stuff. Like there again, we have this really fun Seussical like experience, and man, that show has been a cash cow as a non-Broadway, Broadway flop turn financial windfall for those creators. I'm sure Lynn Ahrens is like, this is my lake house, courtesy of Seussical Jr. So like, I think SpongeBob has a lot that going forward in that way. I'm I'm sure there are others. Sometimes the show goes to the brilliant people at MTI, and then I won't probably be able to get my hands on it. But I would love to expand Lightning Thief as a flaw, but a really great score by Robert Kiki, and really that show with a cast of like, what does that look like with a cast of 22? And I think that there is places for the expansion of how things are tracked, and I'd love to get my hands on that. And I think Bat Boy might be something that I will get to officially. I have illegally have a high school version of that show, and now that the really truly the incredible people at Broadway Licensing have acquired dramatic play publish. What is that company?
Dramatist Play Service, and they
thank
announced
you.
it officially today.
Officially today, which my own sources told me a long time ago about. So I think once I can get back into a room with high school kids, I'll get to be able to wave some sort of dirty magic wand on Bat Boy. So that's
Lawrence
coming.
O'Keefe is good about that too. So
Very
he
good.
loved that.
Yeah, and I think we just need an official high school version where it explains how to do that cast expansion and explains how to do this and explains how to do the birth, and and I have my own edits from about 10 years ago that I'd love to actually officially do. Yeah.
I personally think Bat Boy needs a proper revival because the only reason that show failed was 9/11. I really, really, truly believe that show could relive itself, Yeah,
I just don't think these are Broadway shows.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. Like Bat Boy should be playing in Union Square. You know what I mean? Little Shop should be playing at the Orpheum and not on 46th Street. Like that's not.
We've learned that does not work.
That does not work. So Smile is a really big show. And so that's interesting. Maybe Smile does work with 14 people in an off-Broadway theater, but because the business has blown itself up so much that it's almost impossible to do that now. Whereas, in the 80s and the early 90s, a show like Zombie Prom or Ruthless, shows that I love, very much, they're meant to be, they're not supposed to be, Zombie Prom could have been on Broadway, but a lot happened with that show. And, Kristen Chenoweth was the original star of that show.
Yeah, the original Toppy.
Yeah. I would love to have seen that. I bet that was.
I know. I've been dying to get a demo recording. I have demo recordings of The Witches of Eastwick with her doing some of the voices, but nothing from Zombie Prom.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know. I wonder if there is one. I'll ask.
Dana probably has something.
I'm sure he has it.
I feel like he records a lot. This has been a super fascinating conversation, and I feel like we could talk for hours. But we promised you 45 minutes, and we are 3 minutes over. So
I'll stay all night. I don't care.
Oh my God. Well, we have to just have you back. I think that's clearly what we have to do. So I want to thank you for joining us tonight and sharing some insight, right, Kristina?
Yes, thank you so much. This has been an absolute blast. So with COVID, are you still doing Broadway?
Yeah, we're Broadway workshopping 7 days a week. We have classes and workshops and camps and intensives and all virtual, and they're doing really well. We're going to go back to 3 weeks of live summer intensives this summer, to the last 2 weeks of July and the first week of August. And those are nearly full, and we'll have virtual intensives as well. And we are doing our first real virtual production, which is Emma the musical, which I adapted for the JV version. And that is something I'm really proud of what that turned out to be, because it's all pop musical score. It has like Girls Just Want to Have Fun and Unwritten and all these great songs. And Taylor Lauderman is directing that for us.
Oh, wow.
And we're doing that with 2 casts of about 18 each. And that's going to be like a movie with like green screens. And we're figuring out that thing. So that's happening right now. And we are, so Broadway Workshop's happening. And we're we're not going anywhere. And the podcast, I, release episodes every week, whether anyone wants to listen to them or not. And we have some really good guests coming up. Nikki Blonsky's with me this next Thursday.
Fun.
And that's a really fun episode. I'm recording an episode tomorrow with Lindsay Alley, who is on the Mickey Mouse Club for 7 years.
Lindsay.
And,
Great.
And she was involved in some big Broadway shows that never came in. And, the heartbreak of the business is so different as a kid and an adult. And it's really interesting to unpack some of that. So yeah, things are busy here for the most part. I would say.
That's so great. I love that. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This has been so much fun.
Thank you for doing the work you're doing and talking about these shows that, some kid somewhere who loves Broadway will, know all about Smile because of what you're doing. And, it's really awesome. So keep it up. I love, and also like, if I can, your Instagram and all of this extra stuff that you're doing around the podcast is really amazing. And I love seeing all the videos you're posting. And it's really this, it's opposite.
It's opposite.
There we go. Bobby, I'm sure your bootleg collection is pretty good.
I mean, okay, I ran the library at AMDA for 5 years, so I have some stuff. So.
Got it.
Whenever Kristina needs sheet music, she calls Bobby.
That way.
I mean, and if I don't have it, I call Michael Levine, as you know.
And Michael Levine has everything. It used to be like a very dirty deal. You used to like leave money, an envelope, and then the doorman, but that all went away.
It's like PayPal and
that was the 90s.
Venmo. Oh my God.
But congratulations to both of you, and keep up the amazing work. And I can't wait to see your next episode or hear your next episode.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And before you go, tell all our viewers where they can find you. I mean,
okay, follow me at Marc Tumminelli, Tumminelli. You'll find it. And follow Little Me podcast at Little Me Podcast, and follow Broadway Workshop at Broadway Workshop. And those are all the ways to find me. I'm on Twitter. I'm on all the things. So awesome. Yes, and make sure to listen to Little Me. Download, rate, subscribe. We were told subscribe makes people think they have to pay. So download, rate, and I don't know what the new word is. I didn't pay that much attention, but.
Oh, we should find out what the new word is.
I'll find out. I'll go back to download, rate, and listen. I don't know.
Definitely download, rate, and listen. And remember, if you don't like Little Me, it's called My Favorite Flop. So
there we go.
Look them up. All right. Well, thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, so much fun.
Oh my God, what a great conversation. And I feel like we could have literally gone on for an hour. We almost have. So we should thank everybody for tuning in. Amelia, rocking my socks. I love that you were here and asking questions. It's beautiful. Thank you. Follow. Oh, she's following. Oh, yay.
Great. Do that too. Thanks,
well, and you'll have to have down this one there. And of course, you'll have to tune in next Tuesday for the newest episode of our podcast, number 7. And you can find it everywhere, but Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. Literally, just Google us.
Just Google us. We come up. And then join us the following Tuesday, which is April 6th, for yet another episode of After the Bows, where we're going to have another amazing conversation with an awesome guest. We're very excited about it. Oh, thank you so much for watching, guys.
Right. So, Kristina, why don't you tell them where they can find us? We told them where they can find the podcast, but where can they find more information about us?
Well, we've been posting some incredible videos, and really by us, I mean Bobby. Been posting some amazing videos, some amazing content that goes along with what we talk about on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We are becoming very popular on Twitter, and let me tell you, it's very exciting, okay? We have Jody Benson. Jody Benson retweeted us this week. That's right, ladies and gents. We are excited about it. But we're also on YouTube and Twitch. We're on Twitch. So hip. That's so fancy. Anyways, and we're on TikTok, which we're new to. We're trying to create that content. Come follow us, interact with us. We love it.
Yes, we are so hip. We're using the tickety talks. At least we're trying for us millennials here. And speaking of all of these social channels, you definitely have to tune in starting tomorrow to look for the clues. We keep saying episode 7 because we don't tell you what it is yet. But if you listen to the end of episode 6, that's where we gave clue number 1. Starting tomorrow, all the socials will have clues 2 through 4. And just a reminder, because, you may not have listened to the last episode. We will give you clue number 1 right now. And it's this. This musical once had the same title as another famous Broadway flop.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's
Hey, let us know your thoughts. Tell us if you've guessed it just from the first clue, because that would be awesome. We hope to see y'all next week. Okay, thanks.
okay. Bye.
Bye.